Today we're going to talk about Unit 10, and specifically we're going to talk about causes of World War II. The years of World War II, and make sure you write this down, is 1941 to 1945. In previous lessons we talked about that the Cold War actually began after the end of World War II, and it ended in 1990. What are the causes of World War II? Well, before you talk about what actually brought the United States into World War II, you got to talk about what Hitler was doing in Europe at that time. By 1939, this is what Hitler had done in Europe. He had taken the Rhineland between France and Germany. He had taken Austria. As number 2. He had taken Czechoslovakia as number 3. He had signed a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union. He had taken Poland as number 4. He had taken Norway and Finland as number 5. He had taken Belgium as number 6. And he had taken half of France as number 7. He almost trapped the entire British and French armies at a city called Dunkirk, but they were able to escape to Great Britain. And to begin with, what you need to understand in history is that the only country standing against the United States at the time before we entered the war was Great Britain. What were we doing as part of the United States during this time period? Well, one of the things we did was, as Hitler took over more and more of Europe, Roosevelt was in direct contact with Congress, and he pointed out the fact that we needed to get involved. Well, Congress didn't want to get militarily involved. So what they agreed to do is at first they passed what were called the Neutrality Acts from 1935, 1936, and 1937, which made it illegal to trade with warring nations. That included the Allies, and that included the Axis powers. Both groups were excluded from trade. Okay? But as it became apparent that Hitler was going to take over possibly the world, the Lend-Lease Acts were passed. And what the Lend-Lease Acts was where the United States, in exchange for leases on naval bases that Great Britain controlled, it would provide the Allies with materials necessary to defeat the Germans. Here's a picture of American sailors talking to British sailors about the destroyers that they're about to hand over. These are the ships that were capable of destroying German submarines. So this concludes where Unit 10, Section 1, what the United States' response was to Hitler in Europe before we actually entered the war.